What's up, guys? Today, being August 15th, some new information on Battlefield 1 was released. A new trailer was released, so have a look at that. They talked about the beta being released on August 31st, and there will be a new desert-style map as well confirmed with it. Conquest and Rush will be the two modes that will be played in the beta, and I believe Rush is limited to 24 players, so have at it in the comments about that. But in this short commentary today, I wanted to talk about horses, some questions with regard to them, and some information that was released with regard to them. Because one of the questions I had continually when hearing more about horses in the gameplay is, what would be their role, their niche? How would they fit in? How would they impact the gameplay? And hopefully some of these preliminary answers will put an end to some of your questions. So let's get started. First things first, with regard to horses, of course, they're not as sturdy as many other vehicles, at least in terms of health. But they'll apparently, according to this article, they'll be effective in close and medium range combat. Speed and agility will be their emphasis, and that is their strong point that you should build your style around. You can run over people with the hooves for road kills, which is interesting, and you can use melee weapons on top. Well, it says you can use a saber, so maybe I don't know if that applies to all melee weapons, but you can definitely use at least one. If you prefer to stay back in medium range combat, you can shoot rifles from the horse, which is awesome in medium range. So we'd like to see how that goes. We'd like to use a bolt action off of it. You can use them as sort of pests for vehicles and other enemies. You can run circles around slower mechanized vehicles. You can use explosives to perhaps take them out, so like the equivalent of C4. You can also, what I didn't consider was interesting too, is you can use them as a mobile supply station, so you can use the speed and agility to go around and drop bandages or ammo, something to keep your team alive and give you that advantage when trying to like push fronts in the battlefield. Every little bit helps, and this might help you here. If you weren't able to, say, get to an area that's pushed up a bit too far, maybe a horse can. Of course, as you'd expect, because they're larger, they can be a bigger target, but to make up for that, they do, of course, as you'd expect again, have more health than the average soldier, which is nice. I mean, if they had the same health as a human being, not only would that not make logical sense, but who would use them? Speed is their emphasis, so again, like I was saying, that's what you should be using. Don't try and rely on it as you would a tank. Interesting, I found too, is that when you from the loadout screen, when you spawn into a horse, they are customizable. You can use a whole gamut of weapons and gadgets to take advantage of. We haven't seen a ton of this yet, so we'll see shortly. You can steal them, which is interesting too, if someone jumps off, and you can jump off a horse. Mid-battle, you can just jump off a horse, shoot a guy, jump back on the horse if you want. And the RNG aspect I found interesting here, though, is the DICE team apparently put in a ton of effort into the coding with regard to the horse animation movements and their behavior, which is a bit of RNG. Apparently, of course, like any living animal, it doesn't want to self-destruct for the most part. So if you're running toward the edge of a cliff, it will apparently get scared and refuse to jump off that cliff, or it won't go continually into the water and drown. So there is a bit of RNG and a bit of strategy to it. You can't just assume it's like a vehicle that you can have ultimate control over, which I think will make it a bit interesting and quite possibly a bit aggravating. Like if it hears a lot of, perhaps maybe they coded it in that lots of exploding shells if you're trying to advance to help out the front line. The horse might get scared and run back, so you can't get to those guys and they die, and interesting. So hopefully that answers at least a short bit of questions. Like, and the last bit here, of course, as I just read it here, it will try to jump over or avoid obstacles as you're in the gallop. So, interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you are pro or con the idea, or what you'd like to see with a horse. Have a good one.